What's up guys, it's Daz here, but you don't really care. As today we're going to take on the Cave of Ordeals, so yeah. Now, different Let's Players do different techniques to how to take on the Cave of Ordeals in a video. Some people might just commentate the whole thing. In fact, I'm going to commentate this little bit here because it tells me to. Your power is a gift given only to those who with confidence to wield it. I can't read even when I'm speaking slowly. But anyway, some Let's Players may commentate this entire thing. And basically the way this works is there's tons and tons of floors. I think 100, maybe 50. I can't quite remember, but it's just a trial. So the first one gives us a bokoblin, which is nice and easy, and it will progressively get harder. But I'm not going to commentate this entire thing because that's a lot of work, and you know, I don't think people are going to want to watch an hour-long special video all the way through, or at least I don't think too many people will. Now, some other Let's Players may decide to don't patronise me, game. I'm trying to explain what I'm going to do today. Some Let's Players might speed up the whole thing and play music. I'm not going to do that either. Instead, I am going to speed it up and get patronised as I do so, and Link's going to shake while the cutscene's going on. But while the game is being sped up and I'll be silent for a little bit, I'm going to have me post-commentate about some beta elements and design ideas that were sort of not really put into the game or just might be interesting to point out. Since I started the Let's Play mentioning a few things like I did when I first met Midna and I was talking about her like other designs and all that, and it was interesting. And then I just sort of never really got round to doing it again for everything else. So that's what we're going to be doing in this episode. And so if you're interested in that, that'll be good for you. But also, I'm also going to be interrupting at points in case something interesting happens in the actual footage. So look forward to that. Now, let's go run through this place. Alright, so hello. I hope you're joining me in this little interesting tidbit about all the sort of concept designs for all the characters. In my lap at the moment, even though this is post-game, so I'm not actually at the controller controlling this anymore, I've got the Hyrule Historia with a bunch of ideas of what the characters were going to be like before they were designed, and I'm going to get interrupted in a minute, so I'll make this first one short. Basically, I'm going to start with the Light Spirits. There were actually original designs to have them as humanoid bodies and having different animal heads and faces on top of them until they eventually decided to make them huge spiritual beasts all holding a sort of glowing sphere, which is kind of interesting in a way, because you can sort of see it develop from being sort of like the fairies that we'll be seeing in this cave, and yes, it will be the first time we ever see the fairies in this game. Sorry to interrupt, but it's a little bit important. Every 10 floors you come to a little fairy fountain. I know, haven't seen fairies in this game really, have we? Let's go check it out. Might be a bit hard to see, but that's actually 6 wings, I believe. Or maybe you can see it there. 6 wings. Welcome, hero, to the Cave of Ordeals. I am the Great Fairy. I reign. Still can't speak. Apologies. I reign over all fairies of this realm as their queen. In praise of your efforts thus far, I release fairies to Ordon Spring. From this point on, you will have need of the ancient power that allows one to walk along a cliff without a single foothold. If you want to give up the fight for now and go re-equip yourself, I can return you to the surface. You need merely speak to me. And with that, fairies will now be found in the Ordon Spring if you need some healing. Unfortunately, this stuff doesn't heal you. It would be nice because I have lost a quarter of a heart right at the beginning, and it would be nice if I could have, I don't know, used my special spin attack. But anyway, to progress, you need the claw shot. That's basically what it's trying to tell you, because you can't progress without that. Next, I'd like to talk about the sages, and you know the ones with the face that are sort of cut off and a bit ahead of themselves. It's a bit of an odd design, but there was originally some concept art for Rauru from, is that how you pronounce it? I hope so. Rauru, blah blah blah, from Ocarina of Time, and his design was going to be behind a mask of some sort, but it kept his original body of orange robes, and it's kind of interesting to think that Roru was originally sort of ideated to be in the whole scenery of the game. Another guy I'd like to mention is the Ancient Hero, the Golden Wolf guy, Ocarina of Time Kid, whatever you want to call him. It's actually confirmed here that some believe he is the Ocarina of Time Kid, so it sort of goes on with the saying I said yesterday about how he dies in the Lost Woods, blah blah blah. But there were also designs of him in ultimate costumes, such as him having a Twilight version. So when he shows up in Twilight, he looks completely different, as well as a samurai version. Not quite sure why, but that's sort of how it is. There's also a swordswoman here, so it's interesting. Whether they expected that to be the same person, or maybe like a second character to help Link along, I don't know, but it's interesting to see how these sort of things develop. I'm trying to look at specifically like the symbols on his clothing, but nothing really seems to be pointing out very significantly. And now that we're down here, we see why we actually came here, although I did mention it yesterday. But still, there's a post soul here, so hello! Alright, this one's going to be a pretty quick one since there's not much time for me to speak here, but here are some other designs they had for Reynardo from Kakariko Village and from Barnes. Both sort of going through the sort of... One of them looks more... Reynardo looks sort of like a Zora-esque design, like his humanoid form seems kind of Zora-y, so that's odd how he's like, especially one that's got a basket on top of it. It just seems like it's sort of fitting for Kakariko Village, but he looks pretty starving, and Barnes just looks like a bunch of different old men with bombs for heads.
I am impressed that you made it this far, hero. In praise of your efforts thus far, I will release fairies to Faron Spring. From this point on, you will have need of the power that allows one to break through massive frozen blocks of ice. If you want to give up the fight for now and go re-equip yourself, I can return you to the surface. Need me, speak to me.
Another character that's gone through quite a few changes is actually Telma. Well, not too many changes, but you can see other ideas, because there's a Telma 2 image here showing her more like a... Sort of, she's got glasses and it makes her seem more like a nerdy kind of character, if that's a possible thing in a Zelda universe. And there's also more concept art of her having this really long, just hay sort of essence of hair instead of the short sort of ponytail she's got at the moment. And, turning over the page, there's also the characters that have helped you to get those last 3 mirror shards, or that's still blurry in my mind, but we've got Oru here, who you see is the old man with a hood, and there's actually multiple designs of him, one showing him as like a crooked old man with some really long scarf-like robe, and then another one of him really like a strong old man, almost like a Goron, a big heavy old man with some kind of rocky hooded thing, and then a sort of weaker looking man with a hat with a puffy thing on the top. It's very strange how many different designs, like, this is the kind of thing you don't really think of when you're thinking of a game being created. Like, looking at Zelda U now, there could be characters being thought of that are going to be completely different by the time we actually see them on screen. We've also got Shad here and his other designs make him look more like an evil character. One's got him with... Well, they've both got him with glasses, and one of them even has an owl on his shoulder, and he's got like this smirk that makes him look like he's really like smart and sort of smart. I don't know, just really sort of, I don't want to say up himself, but he looks really like confident in himself in a sort of negative way, and then they ended up going for the more nerdy version of him. Well, I guess there are nerdy characters. Also looking at Ashi, well, I don't know. We've got 2 designs here, one of her really looking slim and able like a swordsman, and actually looks slightly similar to Link in his face, and a more masculine, soldiery woman design. Strange how much these characters can change in the developmental stages.
Fairies in the Elden Spring.
Alright, now here come the really interesting differences that have sort of happened around the characters. So remember how we had Impaz as an old woman that helped us and helped Ilia when she had lost her memory and all that? There was also actually ideas for showing Impaz, an old man Impa. So, yeah, old man Impa, that sort of... Yeah, but anyway, his design make him look like a very sort of withered old man which is kind of fitting because you'd expect them both to be old. And other designs of them show him in more bandages covered in bombs, and one almost looks like he's got a kind of Gora design with a headband going across his face. There's also a design with him with a massive forehead and another one that makes him look sort of more square, and it's kind of interesting because this is a character that just didn't appear at all. I mean, yeah, I'm guessing this is supposed to be like the character of Impar is actually mentioned as creating the hidden village and they just never showed him off, so there were original designs to actually have him there. Also, Falby and Fire, you know, the two with the cannon and the Kuko game? Yeah, well, they've gone through a couple of design changes as well, with Fire making up this sort of massive, strong man look, and Falby still looking kind of manly, but a little bit more feminine. Actually, what it shows here is Falby seemed to be female, which is something you don't really see in the game. He looks kind of like just sort of a male person with a female-esque personality, but it doesn't seem to quite be true. Although it also says it's not clear what their relationship is, because they're not sure if it's supposed to be lovers or husband and wife. It's interesting in a sense, because you don't really think that deeply into a Zelda game as much, well, at least I don't. Also, this room! I hate this room! I hate Frizzards! I hate Chillfos! I hate everything to do with this place. I'm wearing magic armor, and I'm losing tons and tons and tons of health. I mean, I've now run out of rupees, and so I have to deal with that, but god, I hated it so much. Anyway, looking at Giovanni, we can see there's other designs of him. It's not quite as interesting, because, well, it's just sort of basic, only changing once or twice, but for some reason they put a flower on his head instead of a crown. And there's also an idea of him having a frying pan for a head, so don't know exactly what's going on there, but the Great Fairies are here as well, but there's actually not much to mention there because of Six Wings, which I actually mentioned in the game, so I'll skip over that. Now, Darbus, our patriarch. He actually had original designs to be with Telma's cat Louise. There's concept art of him on the shoulder, and it makes it sound like the cats were going to be worshipped or like acting as some kind of leader to the Goron tribes, much like Egyptians. But then Louise just sort of became her own character and then went along with Telma. I would kind of be interested to see how the Gorons and cats would have worked together, but that's something we never really get to see. Now, I've pretty much gone through most of this book on interesting designs. The rest sort of shows off the enemies and sort of concept art for the creators to create, and then bosses and just art of them, but nothing incredibly intriguing. Though there is a picture of a Posol here with its all stitching body, which is not very nice. So we're going to have a quick, short little break as I talk for a second as the fairy, and then when we come back I'm going to go through the concept art of the different areas of the game that we come to.
The Nehru Spring.
Yeah, unfortunately the fairies just sort of speak with copied and paste language. You'd think there'd be more options to see what they would, you'd think there'd be more options to speak to them since there's only 5 in the whole game, and even then it could just be one teleporting down, but oh well. Anyway, I'm going to show off the concept art of the actual locations here. For example, we've got Ordon Village and its natural water wheel house thing that Mallow wasn't very happy of having. And it seems there's also a design for Ordon Village to have everything happening sort of in the trees, which is interesting to say the least, although the label also says Kakariko Village. I'm not sure if it's supposed to work for both or something, but I don't know. We've also got an image of Lake Hylia here, and it shows off the pier as more of a long thing with a tiny windmill at the end and a square lake. Which, actually, in the real Lake Hylia, there's just a series of rafts that act as a pier, which is something to consider. The Forest Spring actually shows Link sort of almost I don't know, the area reminds me of the Temple of Time location. Just, the design of it just doesn't quite suit what you see in-game, but it's, I don't know, it makes it look much more dramatic and interesting. We've also got a picture of the Arbiter's Grounds idea, and it's got a clip of how the pillar stadium things lift up and lift the rock, and you can see the chains all attached, and I really like the art of it. Like, it's got like that, I think it's the colouring. Like, it makes it look really Twilighty and dramatic, and it's really got a Shadow of the Colossus feel, which I feel a lot of this game has, and it's probably why I'll really like that game when I get around to playing it. We've also got some, not sure what to call it, pictures, I guess, of Koro's lantern shop. You know, the hey dude, I'll give you a lantern. And his house is actually designed to be a bird's nest. can't quite remember if that's how it is in-game, but I hope they went through with it, because it looks pretty interesting to have a birdhouse for a house. Yeah. There's also an image of the unattended shop, but it's just sort of more for the developers to actually create in a 3D world. However, there is the sky cannon as well, and I don't think they made it quite like it's shown here in the concept art, but it's a lot more mossy and sort of run down in a sense, because there's even like a tree twig coming out of the main cannon, which is interesting. We've also got a picture of the Sacred Grove, which is much more basic, and I feel like the in-game version is more impressive, but it's basically looking up at the statue as you can guess block your way. Apparently, the original way this was going to work is Link would howl as a beast to startle the statues into moving away, and then they replaced it with a puzzle which everyone said was incredibly easy, and I'm the only one that ever finds it hard, apparently. There's also a really nice shot they've got here, I say shot, it's still art, of the Eldin Bridge, or the Bridge of Eldin, in the dark, sort of contrasting with sunset in the background, and I really like how that looks, I just do. We've also got some more shots of the actual bosses, and in a boss fight against the skeleton man whose name has slipped my mind from the Arbiter's round, there's actually a different design of him. He's more... his wings are not even as... Actually, did he even have wings in the actual thing? I can't remember, but his design is much different to what you remember, or what I remember at least. We've also got the whole Morphil design of being underwater, and I really like the shot of this. I mean, it's very Shadow of the Colossus-y, and it really makes him feel like a small individual in this world. We've also got more shots of Goma and Diababa, which you can assume, and then more developer ideas of how the Mirror of Twilight entrance rock comes up. I'm not quite sure what that is. Is that just a boulder that uses as transportation? Is it a Twilight platform? Do they mention that, or is it just a thing? I don't really know. Anyway, we've also got a shot of the secret entrance, which is something I don't quite remember as being so rememberable. Like, I remember going through it, but I don't remember there being a wall with all these cracks in it. We've also got some springs here, which I actually mentioned early on how they changed the idea of the spring, and the Twilight and the Twilight Town. There was originally ideas to have some sort of town in the Twilight, I'm guessing, so citizens of the Twilight would be like in a functioning town like the normal light world, but that's not really in the game. Instead, you just go to the Palace of Twilight in the Twilight Realm. There's not really much to see. There's also a basic artistic design of the, I guess, official artwork and concept box art of what they wanted, which is interesting because you can see how it's sort of developed and what inspirations it's taken and whatnot. And that actually comes to the end of the book, because now it's gone on to the Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. So, I guess I'll just commentate on what I can actually see. Oh boy, I'm fighting off 3 Dark Nuts at once. Honestly, I don't find this too tricky. I found the Aeropulse and 2 Dark Nuts to be tricky, or it might have been the other way around, but I don't know. This one, you can see I'm struggling a bit, but just stick to the plan of when they're heavy, you jump back when they're about to attack and jump forward, so then you can start hitting them. And then when there's in their quick form, you just wait for them to attack, and then when they do, you do a, I can't remember what it's called, back strike. Yeah, that's it, back strike, and spin around them and slash at them. You can actually slash while you're rolling, but I keep forgetting this, and it's never very effective. Usually when I'm rolling, I'm miles away. Well, it's done. Took me just about an hour.
You cleared many ordeals. How impressive. In praise of your courage, I will give you this blessing.
You got the Great Fairy's tears. This sacred water contains the Great Fairy's prayers. It will replenish all hearts and briefly boost attack strength.
Drink this, and you should be able to clear any difficulties that you might encounter ahead. If ever you need my assistance again, visit any spring. Many on the surface cry out for one with powers like yours. You must go back.
And now we're back to Lake Hylia, and you'll see... Welcome, hero. The tears you hold, they are blessed. Drink them, and you shall better endure the dangers that await you. If you ever have need of me, come to this place. And now there's fairies for us. Isn't that lovely? And I think I'll use my empty bottle on it. Hooray! And now, let's go put in our 60 Po-Souls. Well, hello, Giovanni. Well, now you look a little bit more normal, less gold and a little bit slimmer. You did it! Look at me! I'm back to my old self again. Thanks to you, everything in my life is coming up roses. Ha ha ha! Oh, of course, I need to thank you. Please accept this. You got a silver rupee. That's it. Let's just imagine that rupee sound effect was me screaming internally. Let's just go with that. Alright, I need to let my girlfriend know that I'm back. Yeah, she's been dead for 200 years. Sorry. Bye. Now that we've collected every Po-Soul, heart piece, and pretty much every item, there's really nothing left to do except take on Hyrule Castle and do the final boss. So we'll do that next time. For now, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.